There are many ways to play Magic the Gathering, and Modern is one of the most popular formats to do so.
It's a 60-card 1v1 format where you can play any card since 2003.
That's a lot of powerful cards.
We've had our subscribers vote for one deck to champion every year of Modern's history.
And then we had a team of competitive Magic players play all the decks through 4 rounds of Swift.
And we finally have it. We have the top 8 of what could easily be one of the most powerful decks in one of the Magic the Gathering's most powerful formats.
We'll bring you each of the single elimination rounds going forward, and after 7 videos, we'll finally be able to crown the one best deck ever.
Hello there.
What an impeccable hat.
Thank you very much.
Are you aware that you're playing against someone who has top 8'd a GP with this deck?
Oh, isn't that kind of unfair?
I don't know. Hyro?
Nice, please.
That's not good.
That's better.
Yeah, barely.
For the last quarterfinals, I'm playing Scam. And the deck is called Scam because you hope that the opponent does nothing before you kill them. To do that, we have those evocation elementals, which where you can pitch a card of the color. They do a very powerful effect, but also die. But in combination with some of the effects that bring them back for 1 mana, you can use the effect twice because they enter the battlefield, die, and enter again. And then you can take out your opponent's board or their hand before they can do everything. Also, like my starting hand, we have the ability to use Ragavan at its fullest because we play a deck full of removal spells, and maybe sometimes we can even get a turn 2 Blood Moon that kills your opponents completely. I'll accept.
My deck today is Hogaak, and for those who don't know, I've got kind of an emotional attachment to Hogaak. I top 8'd a single GP in my lifetime, and it was with Hogaak. The deck is crazy powerful, it can put out turn 2 Hogaaks pretty consistently, and my starting hand really doesn't reflect that. Between Gravecrawler and Satyr Wayfinder, I do have 2 creatures to convoke with, but 2 Vengevines being stuck in my hand without me being able to do anything about them isn't what this deck is about, so I'll take a mulligan. I'll try a different... Alright, I gotta do better with 6. This hand is more like it. Turn 1 Faithless Looting can either find me additional cards that mill myself, or can find some cards that want to be put into the graveyard, followed up by turn 2 Wayfinder, milling even more, hopefully finding a Hogaak somewhere in the process, and then I should be good to go. Not perfect, but I'll take it. It's good enough for you.
We'll play a Blackly Cleaves and the best 1-drop of all time.
Ragavan.
Ragavan.
Alright. I will draw.
I hope that's good enough for you.
Oh, it certainly is. Play a Marsh Flats and fetch. I'll grab a Blood Crypt and I will pay 2 life, down to 17. And I'll cast the infamous Faithless Looting, draw 2 cards. And then I will discard a Polluted Delta and a Collective Brutality.
My turn?
Go ahead.
So we're playing the best decks of all time, right?
Yeah.
I'll deal you 2 damage.
Yes.
Please trigger my Ragavan. I will make a treasure and you show me the card.
Alright, a Bloodstained Mire.
Okay. I will play a Fetchland on my own. I will get a Swamp. And then, for my last trick for this match, I will tap those and the treasure to cast a Blood.
This is really bad because I have a single answer to Blood Moon in my deck. It's a Caterpillar, and also I don't have access to green mana anymore, so I think I'm just out of game 1 here.
Go ahead.
I will untap and draw. I guess I'll add another mountain to my collection and pass the turn.
I love it. All right, attack with Ragavan.
Down to 13.
I will add a treasure to my collection.
And a Gravecrawler.
I will use the treasure for mana and cast a Fable of the Mirrorbreakers.
That's a good card.
That will make me a Goblin Shaman. Unfortunately, I don't have a land.
Oh.
Sometimes you're just unlucky, you know? Go ahead.
I will take my draw. It's not a mountain. I will play a mountain though. Go ahead.
Thank you. I will draw a card and then my Saga triggers so I can discard up to 2 and draw up to 2. And I have this feeling that I really don't need all those removal spells. So we're gonna draw 2 fresh cards. Oh, I'm gonna play Mountain and go to attacks.
Don't you regret playing Blood Moon by now? I'll let you take it back.
It's very nice. Attack with my 2 creatures. That gives me a treasure from the attacking. Treasure!
And get another freebie.
Yes, I will get another treasure, and then, because there might be good cards against your deck, I will play a Doughty Voidwalker. So whenever a card would be put into your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Which I think is quite reasonable if your opponent wants to use the graveyard as their main resource. And it's your turn.
All right, I will not even untap because I don't have any tapped lands. I don't even have any other lands to play. It's your turn.
All right, at the end of turn, I will attempt lethal with my Orcish Bowmasters, dealing 1 to you.
So that, yeah, down to 8.
And make an army, and that's plenty enough for you to die. Draw, turn the Fable, it doesn't matter, you just die.
Yep, that's lethal. Let's move to game 2. For sideboarding, I'm going to take out 3 Collective Brutality and 2 Glowspore Shaman. While Collective Brutality does answer Doughty Voidwalker, it's pretty slow to do so. And instead, I'll bring in 3 Thoughtseizes, 1 Fatal Push, and 1 Nature's Claim to answer these types of threats, because it's very much about the early turns with this deck, and Thoughtseize is much more versatile in taking either Voidwalker or Spellbomb or Blood Moon, whatever I want really, instead of bringing in more Fatal Pushes or leaving in Collective Brutality.
Since Jamin's deck is all about like small creatures and getting very big advantages from graveyard, we board stuff that kills either the graveyard or those small creatures. Meaning we bring in the 2 explosives and we bring in the Spellbomb. Also, since I kind of want my clock to be very efficient once I disrupt Jamin, I will also bring in Shieldreds because she hits for 6 each turn, and also maybe when the board stalls, she blocks well, can kill a Hogaak, give me some life, you know, the all-around package. And I'm boarding out some of the slower stuff in the spot removal because I can't imagine that paying 2 mana to kill 1 creature is really good enough. Yes, if we get Hogaak, it's kind of a fair deal, but in the end, maybe it's just gonna be played again. Kind of not the angle I want to go with, and I'm boarding out Fables because they're kind of too slow.
I'll try to be the first one to play this time. Maybe it helps.
Would have helped probably last time.
A bit.
To cast something before getting Blood Moon.
So I just said that it's much about the early turns right now, and while this hand does have early turns with Thoughtseize, there's nothing proactive behind the Thoughtseize that can follow it up, so unfortunately another mulligan. Mulligan that.
This one is very interesting. A little bit iffy because we have only 1 land, but I think this is one of those cases where we actually want to keep 1 land. We have a Doughty Voidwalker, which seems to be incredible against the deck, and we have a turn 1 Grief if we want to use it. So if we don't draw the land, we also have a Spellbomb to maybe stall sometimes. I think this should give us at least 1 or 2 turns to draw a land. And if we draw a land, this hand is basically perfect. I'm gonna gamble with it. I'll take it, you know?
All right, let's try again. Okay, that's more like it. I'll keep that.
Okay.
I'll bottom 1 and start out with fetching again. Down to 17 I go. I'll get myself a Blood Crypt and I'll try again. You know, we'll run back.
Okay.
I'll Faithless Looting. I'll draw 1, 2, and discard a Thoughtseize and a Caustic Caterpillar. And that's your turn.
I will draw. So this is what I was talking about. We did draw the land, which is very good because now we can bank on the Voidwalker on turn 2. But we still have the question, do we want to cast the Grief for basically just the Thoughtseize effect? And I think it's kind of good because we have a Spellbomb. We can also exile the stuff we discarded with Grief. We can reset the board state so the Voidwalker actually hits an empty graveyard, and that should be very difficult to handle for Jamin. Otherwise, I mean, if he has a removal spell, it's going to be a bit iffy because we have nothing after the Grief and the Voidwalker. So even though exiling Orcish Bowmaster really hurts, I think it's a little bit safer to use the Grief here and then bank on the Voidwalker, and hopefully there's no removal spell and go from there. I will start with the Blackleaf Cliffs, which is basically a better Blood Crypt.
Basically.
And I will evoke a Grief with my Orcish Bowmasters.
All right.
And I will stack the trigger like this, that the dying comes last.
There you go.
Oh. I will take Thoughtseize, and then unfortunately my Grief just died.
Oh! I didn't expect that.
Yeah. I will play a Nihil Spellbomb.
Okay. I will upkeep, untap. No, different order, same things. So after the Grief, my hand doesn't have too much going on, unfortunately, anymore. But I just top deck the Bladgast, which I'm going to cast this turn to save up the Satyr Wayfinder for next turn, because the Spellbomb has to either react to a trigger or be cracked at a later point after the Satyr Wayfinder trigger resolves, which then leads to an awkward timing on Toffel's side, because, for example, if I mill a Bloodghast with the Wayfinder and take a fetch land, then I can play the fetch land immediately without Toffel being able to respond. The Bloodghast triggers. If Toffel responds by exiling my graveyard, then I can crack the fetch land in response, getting a land into play, getting Bloodghast into play out of range of the spell bomb. I'll play Polluted Delta. I'll crack it for 3. And with my Overgrown Tomb, I'll cast a Bloodghast. Go ahead.
Draw. I will fetch for a swamp. Get the swamp and play the Doughty Voidwalker. Since I am killing your graveyard anyway, and I don't want you to kind of flashback lootings for free, I will just use the spell.
Sure.
And it's your turn.
It's exiled. I'll untap. I'll draw. So while my tricks would have worked against the spell bomb, a Voidwalker is a really hard obstacle to pass, so I really need a Fatal Push for that, I guess. But for now, I'll attack with the Bloodghast.
I can't block.
17. I'll play Bloodstained Mire and pass the turn.
Draw. Attack for 3. Go to 11.
Go to 11.
Ooh, and have the backup Voidwalker, just to be sure, you know.
Yep.
And play a tapped Blood Crypt.
I'll draw. How about more Bloodstained Mires? I mean, this can't block. I'm gonna get in there.
I can also not block.
You can't. Go ahead.
Draw, tap 2, and dash the Ragavan for 8.
Yep.
Tick tock, tick tock. I will make a treasure.
And exile a Bloodghast on your own.
I mean, that's a tempting offer, and I will accept it.
All right.
Sacrifice the treasure and the black.
It even has haste. You should have played the pre-combat.
Alright, play Bloodghast. I hope this is enough. You go.
I'll draw. Yeah. I mean, I can play another Swamp, and I can attack. 13, but that's your turn.
Ooh, I can smell the semifinals.
Yeah, that does it. Come on, Toffel. Main deck Blood Moon and main deck Graveyard Hate with Voidwalker.
They don't call it scam for no reason.
It really is a scam.
Yeah, it turns out scam can be just as good as Hogaak. And
I wouldn't have ever guessed Hogaak to leave so early.
Yeah.
But I guess scam is also a very recent, very powerful deck.
Very powerful. I mean, it won the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very interesting. And of course, with that, I qualified for the semifinals against 12 Post, which is to come soon.
Yeah, but before we move on there, next week we'll have the semifinal between Jun Midrange and Eldrazi Winter, which is also a spicy one.
Very two powerful decks. I was looking forward to see that.
If you're also looking forward to see that just as much as Toffel is, then please do hit the subscribe button, because that keeps you informed and it tells us that you like this kind of content. Also, if you have any feedback at all, do you like Toffel's hat? Do you like my non-existing hat? Do you like the gameplay? Do you like stuff like that? Please leave it in the comments below. We do read them, and that's our main way to get information about what you think about these videos. So, yeah, it'd be great if you do that.
Yeah, and as always, thank you for watching. Goodbye.